Hi, let us continue the assignment for variable declaration in Java implemented using Lex and Yak. So, as we have seen that the first section will consist of declaration, then second section will consist of rules which are written using grammar and action, and third section will be auxiliary routines. Now, whenever you are using Lex and Yak both, then main function is written in the third section of the .y file, and there will be no main function in the Lex program. So this main function will call YYPass function. This YYPass is a parser, that is syntax analyzer, which will call the YYLex function, that is lexical analyzer, which is implemented using this .l program internally. You don't have to call YYLex explicitly. This YYPass function will perform the syntax analysis using the grammar which is written in the second section of the program. Whenever this first rule will return 0, then control will come out of YYPass function, that is the YYPass function finishes its execution and control will come to the next statement and the next operation will be performed. Here the output, that is the data type and variables list, will be printed. Now let us see details of the second section of the Yak program. This is the, as already we have seen that here this grammar will check for the declaration statement. So if you are declaring integer a semicolon enter, only one declarative statement, then this rule will match. And if you are declaring like this, that is integer a semicolon, then on the next line another declarative statement, say float b comma c semicolon, third declarative statement, again next line integer z semicolon, that is you are having multiple declarative statements on different lines, then that is processed by this grammar dl new line, that is /n and line. Then this dl is a variable which actually declares, that is checks the syntax of the individual declarative statement. So each declarative statement in Java consists of a data type followed by a list of variables followed by semicolon. This t is again a variable which consists of three rules: t gives integer, or t gives char, or t gives float. As we have considered int, char and float, these three data types of Java. You can add further rules for other remaining data types. Then L is another non-terminal for which a separate rule is written. So what this L does? L can be single variable, like in this case a, or it can be a list of variables separated by comma. So if it is a single variable like this, then L gives ID. This rule will handle the scenario. And if the input is separated by comma, then this L comma ID will handle the scenario. Now what is done? Whenever L gives ID rule is matched, then that particular ID is the token and its input, that is its attribute value, will be actual name of the variable, that is written here by the .l program by this yyval.str. So it will be written by this rule. ID is the token and yyval.str, this will have the name of the variable, that is it can be A, it can be B, it can be C, or whatever is the name of the variable. So we want to store this int and name of the variable both in the symbol table, that is SymTab. So as we are having many variables or single variable, we have used an array Q. So whenever we find ID, then its corresponding attribute value, that is actual name of the variable, will be stored in the array Q. So because it is the string, you have to use strcpy function. So this using string copy in the q, q index, we will copy name of the variable, that is represented by $1. Now what is this $1? $1 represents attribute value of this ID. Now because after on RHS this ID is the at first position, its attribute value will be at $1. And then for the to store the next variable, this q index is incremented by 1. If multiple variables are declared, then this rule will match L, ID. In that case, this ID is to be copied in q index. So again, the statement executed is string copy q of q index, $3. Why $3? Because we want to copy name of the variable which is represented by ID. So on the RHS of this rule, there are three things. At first location is L, at second location is comma, at third location is ID. And we want name of the variable which is represented by ID. So because ID is at third position, here we will use $3. And here because ID is used at first position, we will use $1. Then, so this T will give us data type and this L will give us the names of variables in the array Q. So whenever both T and L are processed, are having the values, then this statement DL gives TL semicolon is completely processed and then this action is performed. So what is the action? The action is that enter all the variables which are represented by this list and data type which is represented by T in the SymTab, which is having the variable sim, which we have declared in this first section. So SymTab is declared and sim is its array which is having type and symbol as its member. So these values, value of the variable is copied in, value of the variable name is copied in symbol member and type of the variable is copied in type member of this sim array. So that's why here the for loop is run, because you can have multiple variables for I is equal to 0 to I less than q index I plus plus. Then this data type is to be copied in sim index dot type. Now because T is at first location on the RHS, we have used here $1. Then we want to copy at sim index dot symbol all the variables which are already stored in the array Q by these rules. And then for the next declarative statement, this S index is incremented by 1, so that whatever is the next declarative statement, its values will be stored at next location in the SymTab. Then when the whole input will be processed, this and the syntax is correct, then this YYPass function will finish and then the control will come here and it will execute these statements. So what these statements are? It is simply displaying the SymTab, that is the data type and variable of the data type, that is sim of I dot type and sim of I dot symbol, which is stored in the sim variable, is printed using the for loop, and then this main function will finish. Now let us see how you are going to execute this program. When you are having both lex and yak programs, then you have to compile them separately. So as our programs are having the name assignment8.l for lex file and assignment8.y for yak file, the first command will be lex assignment8.l. If there are no errors, then this file lex.yy.c will be created. Then you compile yak-d assignment8.y. If there are no errors, then this y.tab.c file is created. Now it is important to note that because of if this yd is not given, only y.tab.c is created, and but we want y.tab.c as well as y.tab.h both files to be created, this -d is important to give. What this y.tab.h consists of? It's a header file which is used for communication between these .l file and .y file. If there are no errors, then the y.tab.c and y.tab.h are created. Then you have to compile both lex.yy.c, which is lexical analyzer, and y.tab.c, which is a parser, simultaneously using C compiler. So give the command gcc lex.yy.c y.tab.c -ll, because you have to link with it lex library. If there are no errors, then a.out file is created. So to run it, give the command /a.out. For this program, we will enter a declarative statement in Java. If there are no errors, then the message valid declaration is given and the data type and variables list is printed. That is, int a is the first one, and similarly float b, float c, and remaining variables and their data types are displayed. So like this, we have used lex for scanning the input and yak for checking the syntax of the input. Thank you.